welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be my June wrap up. So this is going to be all of my stats for the month of June, as well as the 11 books that I read in the second half of the month. If you haven't already checked out my mid-month wrap up, I will leave it linked down below so you can see the books that I read in the first half of the month. So let's dive into the stats. So in total this month I read 21 books. So really happy with the number of books that I've read. I've been really in a reading mood and I just keep wanting to read. Anytime that I'm not at work and not doing anything else, I spend it reading because that's what I want to do at the moment. I think maybe it's because it's summer, I don't know. I love reading and I don't know, something about it at the moment I just like really want to be reading all of the time. So broken down, I read 4 historical romances, 7 contemporary, 3 mystery thriller, 5 fantasy, 1 historical fiction and 1 just general fiction book. And then the formats I read that in, 15 were physical reads and 6 audiobooks. So I didn't read any ebooks this month. It really goes in phases with ebook reading. Sometimes I'll read loads and then other times I won't read any. So this month I didn't read any, so I need to try and make sure in July I'm reading a few more. Then in terms of ratings, it was kind of a all over the place sort of thing. So I had 1 2-star, 1 2.5 star, 6 3 stars, 2 3.5, 8 4 stars, 2 4.5 stars and only 1 5-star. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll know that I, unlike some booktubers, I don't really give out 5 stars very often. Like a book has to be really special for me to give 5 stars to. And then I read 9 new to me authors and 12 previously read authors. 2 less than 300 pages and 19 between 300 to 499 pages, so not any over 500 this month. So let's dive into the books that I ended up reading for the second half of the month. So as I said at the beginning, I read 11 in the second half of the month and 10 in the first half. So let's go through the 11 that I read in the second half of June. I nearly forgot what month it was then. So first book in the second half I read was Feybound by Sara El Arifi, and this is book 1 in the Feybound series, and I gave this one 4 stars and I will be continuing on with this series. So in this series we are following, I'm just looking up the name so I can be prepared, is Yiran, and this world has kind of been constantly at war. So as long as Yiran has known, her people have been at war, and she ends up doing something that kind of goes against the ruler's wishes, and she ends up getting banished. And when she gets banished, she ends up in the Feyworld, and she finds out some secrets about her identity, and all is kind of, as with a lot of fantasies, all is kind of not what it seems, and the Fae in this world have been kind of exiled, and it's the elves that kind of rule the world sort of thing. And yeah, this one had a lot of adventure in it. I really enjoyed it. It was really fast paced. Yeah, as I say, I really enjoyed this one, and I'm definitely intrigued to continue on with the next book in the series, which is called, I think, Cursebound or something like that. I have it on hold from the library and I'm very patiently awaiting my reservation to come in. Then I read As You Desire by Connie Brockway, and I gave this one 3 stars. This is book 1 in the Braxton series. So I read this for one of my reading blogs, which I will leave linked down below, and in this one we are following Desdemona and Harry Braxton. And this one is actually set in Egypt, which was definitely a unique setting. I haven't read any other historical romances set in Egypt. Most of the ones that I've read have either been set in the UK or America. I don't think I've read anything that's been kind of set anywhere other than that. So that was really nice to read. But overall, I didn't necessarily love this one. I didn't love the romance in this one. I thought the romance element was probably the weakest part of this story, which, considering it's a historical romance, is obviously far from ideal. But yeah, it was just an okay read. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but I am interested to check out more from Connie Brockway. This there is a second book in this series, and that is available on Kindle Unlimited with the read and listen function, so I do have that checked out and I will be reading that at some point. Then we have Booked for the Summer by Catherine Freeman. Again, this is featured in one of my reading vlogs, which I think is going up before this video, so if it is, I will leave it linked down below. And I gave this one 3 stars. So this one is obviously a summer romance. Our main character, Jade, ends up getting a job as a bookstore manager for 3 months on the island of Nantucket, and it's all she's kind of ever dreamed of. She really loves books, really wants to work with books, and so she goes to the island of Nantucket, and there she meets Liam, who is a resort owner, and unbeknownst to Jade, he has actually purchased the bookstore from the previous owner, and he intends to knock the bookstore down and build some luxury cottages on there, which obviously causes some conflict between them. They meet each other before either of them know who each other is, and there's definitely some conflict and tension that arises because of it. I thought this one was okay. Again, I didn't love the romance in here. I felt that our hero was not everything that I wanted him to be, and I feel like there was so much more potential for him to act in a certain way, which he didn't, and I explain a bit more in my reading vlog, but yeah, he wasn't the best hero that I could have wanted. I think if you're looking for a fun, quick beach read, this one's a good one, maybe, but definitely not the best from this author. Then I read Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. Again, that's in the same reading vlog as the Catherine Freeman one, and I was so surprised by this one. I gave it 5 stars. This is my first time giving an Ali Hazelwood 5 stars, and I couldn't believe it when I read it. I was just having such a good time. This one is a perfect summer romance. As the title says, if you're looking for a summer book, this one is it. So in this one we are following Connor and Maya is the sister of Eli, who is the main character in Not in Love, I think it is, which I liked at the time. I gave it 4 stars, but I'll be honest, I don't remember much about it. But Eli and Rue from that book are getting married in this one, so they are having a destination wedding in Italy, and all of their friends have travelled over to Italy and are staying in this villa for the wedding. And Maya and Connor have a kind of a past together. Connor is Eli's best friend and is considerably older than Maya, and it is their romance. It is a slow burn romance, so if you are one that is put off by all of the talk of Ali Hazelwood's books being really spicy, I don't think they are really spicy. This one is definitely on the lower end of the spice scale if you compare it to Deep End, which again I don't think was as super spicy as people make out, but this one is a slow burn romance and I had a great time reading it. Then we have Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey, and I really enjoyed this one and gave this one 4 stars. I did listen to this one on audio, and this one is about, I can't remember her name, Josephine and Wells. And Wells is a professional golf player, and he started out being really good, and recently his careers took a bit of a dive, and Josephine is his like #1 fan. She goes to all of his matches. Do you call them matches in golf? I don't know. But goes to all of his games and cheers him on, and as I say, his career's hit a bit of a rough patch, and he ends up enlisting Josephine to be his caddy. Initially he does that because her family's golf pro shop ends up getting damaged in, I think, flooding, if I recall correctly, and so he wants to help her obviously rebuild it by obviously paying her to be his caddy, and they end up forming a relationship, and this one was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this one. Some of Tessa Bailey's books don't work for me, but this one I did really enjoy and I would definitely recommend. This is obviously the Afterlight edition for this book, which is absolutely gorgeous. I love the nearly dropped it. I love the artwork in here, and the naked hardcover is not the best from Afterlight, but it is still, oh, let me take that off. It's quite basic for Afterlight, but I love the artwork. I think the artwork's what makes it in here. And I'm really glad that I did enjoy that, so I can keep this one on my shelf. Then I read Something Wild and Wonderful by Anita Kelly, and this is in the Nashville Love series. It's book 2. You don't need to have read the other book in the series to read this, or at least in my opinion. I haven't read the other book and I still got on okay with this. This one is a romance and follows Alexi and Ben as they take part in the Pacific Crest Trail. And I read this for another video project that I'm working on. And this book starts directly on the trail. The characters are already on this trail and they don't know each other prior to taking part in the trail, but they meet along the way and they end up forming initially a friendship which quickly develops into a romance. I gave this one 4 stars. I did enjoy it, but it is definitely, in comparison to Problematic Summer Romance, this obviously happens quite quickly because they are on this trail together, so the feelings kind of quickly develop in quite a short space of time. But I did enjoy this one. There is a trigger warning in here for some homophobic language not used by the main characters but used towards them, and Alexi is struggling because his parents are very conservative, religious, and do not accept the fact that he is gay. So there is talk of that in here if that is something that will be triggering to you, just to let you know. There is a trigger warning at the beginning in the author's note, so she does mention that, but I just wanted you to know that going in. Anita Kelly seems to predominantly write queer romances, so I'm definitely interested to check out more of their works. I do have one of their books on my Kindle, which I'm definitely looking forward to checking out at some point. Then I read Table for One by Emma Gannon, and I really enjoyed this one and gave this one 4.5 stars. So this one I picked up purely because of the cover. I will obviously have it on the screen here so you can see how gorgeous this cover is. It has my favourite colours on, and yeah, I absolutely love this one. I'm just trying to find out what the character's name was because I've completely forgotten, but basically we are following this woman who is in her mid-30s, I think she is, and she is in a very settled relationship. She's been with her partner for I think about 10 years, and she's obviously very settled. She's thinking about the next steps like marriage and children, and they started this company together, and he is spending a lot of time working away on this at this company, and he takes her out for a dinner, and she's thinking that he's going to propose to her, but in the end he tells her that he wants to move to New York and he doesn't want her to come with him. He wants to break up, and this kind of very much turns her life completely upside down. She was obviously planning a future that is now not going to happen, and it is all about her kind of learning to love herself again, learning to kind of be by herself, because for 10 years she hasn't been by herself and she's very much got into a rut. And I felt that this is a very relatable book, even if you've not gone through a breakup. It's very much like learning about loving yourself, learning to discover things that you like, learning to do things by yourself, which I think is incredibly important. You should be able to do things by yourself. You shouldn't have to rely on someone else to do those things with. Obviously it's nice to do those things with other people, but you should be able to do them by yourself. And I absolutely love this one. I definitely recommend it. I think it's a really important read. It definitely talked about friendships. Obviously some of her friendships had been a bit neglected because of her relationship, and so she kind of redevelops them, and I thought this was a really good read. Next I read Shiver by Ali Reynolds, and I gave this one 3.5 stars. So I liked this one, but it definitely wasn't my favourite. This is a mystery thriller which I've read for a upcoming video, and this one is about a group of friends who years ago they were pro snowboarders and took part in various different competitions, and there was kind of a group of them that were all close friends. One of the group ends up disappearing, and they are reunited at this ski resort. They are brought back together. None of them really know who has invited them, but they have been brought back to kind of reunite, and they end up kind of stranded at this ski resort with no way of escape, and they have to obviously discuss their past, and things, secrets and things are revealed, and they start to question whether the girl that disappeared, whether she is back alive. So I did enjoy elements of this book, but in terms of the reveal, I will say is the what lets it down. I found the reveal to be not very surprising at all. I obviously won't spoil it, but I didn't find it surprising, and I found it very predictable. I did like the setting, and one of the things that I love in a mystery thriller is that kind of isolated setting where the characters are cut off from the world and are kind of, you don't know what's going to happen next. This book is also told in then now perspectives, which I don't always love, and I didn't necessarily love in this one. The then narrative was very focused on the snowboarding, and in places was very like technical. The author went into quite a lot of detail about different like moves and tricks that they were doing on their snowboards, which I'll be honest, I wasn't interested in. This author herself is actually, or was, a professional snowboarder. She was in the competed in the British championships for snowboarding. So she obviously knows what she's talking about when it comes to snowboarding, and that obviously definitely came through, but I just wasn't interested in that. So overall, a 3.5 read. Definitely not my favourite thriller. Then I listened to Finding Hayes by Laura Pavlov, which is book 5 in the Magnolia Falls series, and I enjoyed this one and gave this one a 4-star. So this one is a marriage of convenience between, I don't know what their names were, Savannah and Hayes. And Savannah has come back to town because this old guy that she had grown quite close to when she was a child, and continued on that relationship during adulthood. He was like a grandfather to her, like an adopted grandfather to her. And she comes back to town because he has sadly passed away, and in his will he has left her his property, but to inherit the property and all of his money, she has to be married for I think 30 days before a certain date or something in order to inherit. And so she ends up getting married to Hayes, who she knew as a child, and they were quite close as children, and it is their romance. I liked this one. It's definitely not my favourite in the series, but I had a good time reading it. Laura Pavlov is one of my favourite authors, and I have now completed this series, so I'll definitely be checking out one of her other series. I know I've got the Cottonwood Cove series to check out, as well as her current one that she's writing, which I can't remember the name of. I think it's Riverwood, I want to say, or something like that. I'll put it on screen, but I've got quite a lot to catch up on because she's got an extensive backlist. Then I read The Summer We Fell by Elizabeth O'Rourke, and this is book 1 in the Summer series by her, and I really didn't enjoy this one. I gave this one 2 stars. This one really didn't work for me. In this one we are following, I can't even remember their names, something, and I know the guy's name is Luke, but I can't remember what her name is, and it doesn't tell me. I'll put it on screen. But we were following these 2 characters. They knew each other as children. Our main female character was dating Luke's best friend when she was younger, and her boyfriend's family ends up taking her in because she is being abused by her stepbrother, and we are now in the present day where her then boyfriend has passed away, and it is her relationship with his friend Luke. And I didn't love this one. I didn't love the romance. I didn't like the way this was written. We had then and now chapters, which again, as I said, doesn't always work for me. I didn't like it in this one. If you are expecting a fun summer romance, as the kind of cover and title suggests, this isn't it. I didn't love this one, and I'm debating whether to keep this one on my shelf because I have all of the other books in the series, so I feel like I don't know whether it'll look weird if I don't have this one, so I need to decide whether I'm going to keep this one or not. But this one definitely did not work for me and I would not recommend. And then lastly, I read Ward D by Freida McFadden, and I ended up giving this one 3 stars. This one's definitely not my favourite book from this author, but as with all of her books, I did get sucked in to the story, and I was hooked into reading it. Right up until the end. I did actually stay up a bit later to finish reading this one, but we are following a medical student who is doing her rotation on the psychiatric ward and ends up getting like trapped in there overnight, and things are not what they seem on the ward, and things go from there. I obviously won't go too much into the plot because I don't want to spoil it. What I didn't like about this one is I didn't love the reveal. I found the reveal to be quite underwhelming, although I was kind of reading my way through this and wanted to keep reading it. It was very fast paced. The reveal I just wasn't overly impressed with. This again is also told in Then and Now chapters, and although I don't necessarily love that, I did feel like for this story it did work, but overall it was just okay. Definitely wouldn't be one that I would like highly recommend from this author. But they are all of the books that I read in the second half of June. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to tell me what your favourite book was that you read in June, then please do, and I will see you guys in my next one.